Hi, my name's Ian, and this is our final video in the How to Stay Porn-Free During Lockdown series. This is part 3. Make sure you check out parts 1 and 2. There's loads of practical tips and tools and things in those videos you don't want to miss. But also, if you want all of the links, all of the tips, all in one place, then why don't you download the PDF we've created as well? And there's a link for that PDF of how to stay porn-free in lockdown in the description. So check out that link too. Right, let's jump straight in because in the last video, we were talking about the idea of being able to recognize and respond to the times and places when you're most vulnerable. When we identify that, when we're intentional in figuring that stuff out, figuring the trigger, then actually it's easier to plan, it's easier to avoid those things in our lives. Well, in this video, it's a similar question that I want to start with. Not when are you vulnerable, but actually what do you find is valuable? What in your life do you value? And how do you want to recognize and respond to those things with an intention that could actually keep you porn-free during lockdown? You see, we have a video and we'd love you to watch it. It kind of unpacks this idea a bit more that talks about the Greek story of the sirens, these mythical creatures, half human, half birds, with their powerful and enchanting song. And of course, that song would attract sailors, and then that would lead to disaster. And we talk about this idea where in some ways we see the porn industry, the whole machine of the industry, its marketing, its strategies, its huge amount of money that goes into trying to attract and entice you to consume content that they can profit from. And of course, the industry has lots of people in who are profiteering, but the idea is simply this: they want to make money. And in some ways, I think it's fair to say, and you might not agree, but I think it's pretty clear to me anyway, that the porn industry seems less interested in you. Less interested in is your life going to end up shipwrecked as a result of you consuming their product. As long as they can entice and attract you and they can make money from it, then in many ways they are like those mythical creatures, the sirens. It seems attractive, it certainly is enticing, but there is often a danger attached. And so what we do is we often talk about two characters that Homer, who wrote the famous Odyssey stories and all that sort of thing. He talks about Ulysses, and who you might have heard of, and Jason. But one of the things I want us to focus on in this video is Jason's response to the sirens. So Ulysses, he had a plan that was about avoiding the siren song. That's probably more about figuring your trigger and some of the stuff we talk about in part 2. But Jason's plan was simple. He brought with him on his journey Orpheus, who was the best musician in Greece. And so when they began to get a sense that the siren, where the sirens are, and they maybe even hear the siren song for the first time, Orpheus jumps into action. He's playing what became a sweeter song, a more beautiful song, certainly an alternative song. And that's kind of what we want you to think about today. In this shorter video. What is the alternative to pornography in your life? What is the sweeter song? What is it that you want to pursue? What is it that you want a vote for? If you remember what we talked about in the first video, who do you want to be? Who matters to you? Maybe it's your family, children, a partner, a spouse, and that you value so much. You know, what are you putting at risk if you continue to pursue a path of pornography and allow yourself to be enchanted and enticed by the power and pull of the porn industry? What do you want to do with your life? Are there skills? Are there ambitions? Are there goals that you have, that you want to develop, that you want to achieve in your life? How is porn getting in the way of that? It might be simply that the amount of time you spend looking at porn, you could be investing in yourself in a different way. So part of this is really about listing these things, writing them down, actually going to the effort of saying, okay, what really matters to me? What is valuable to me? List it out, name the people, name the goals, name the ambitions, and then begin to even ask yourself, what firstly do I stand to lose? What's at risk when I use pornography in these things that I've listed that are valuable? But then the next step is not just what's at risk, how am I potentially going to lose something here, but also what can you practically do? How can you respond to what you recognize as a value? What can you do to pursue those things? And it might be as simple as reminding yourself that those things matter, having photos, having things around you that just remind you, and maybe sticking those things on your phone. I often have a picture of my kids on my phone, and the reason I do that is because I want to have a constant reminder that they matter most to me, and they certainly matter much more than anything else that this phone has the potential to offer in terms of pornography. So they're there as a reminder of what matters. So that's a really important way of you getting hope, actually. What are you hoping for? But another way of thinking about this is this word hope, this idea of hope, is simply, spend some time listening to other people's stories. When we're struggling with porn, when porn is kind of winning maybe in our lives, or even just the temptation to relapse is in our lives, sometimes we just need to remind ourselves of the fact that there are other people who have overcome, that there are other people who've won this battle, that there are other people who have maybe got to the place that we want to go. And so make a point of just trying to read some of those stories. I'll put again in the description some links to books where you can read those stories, or websites where you can read those stories. Remind yourself that there are people who are going through or have been through what you're going through, and they have found freedom. And let that be a hope for you in this time as well. Final thing as we come to the end of this video is simply, make sure that you get as much knowledge as you can. If we immerse ourselves in information, then that helps us be intentional. So immerse yourself in knowledge so that you can be intentional in tackling this issue. Again, we talked about the comparison of if you're trying to lose weight, then sometimes it just makes real sense to kind of count the calories. But the other thing, of course, is the more you learn about nutrition, the more you learn about the way that our body works, the more you learn some good recipes that you can use. It all helps. The more knowledge you get, the easier it is for you to make the decisions that you kind of want to make. And so there are some great places, there's some great things that you can do just to get more information around what the porn industry is really like, what addiction really does, what things you can do to defeat and defend against pornography in your life. And so again, what we'll do in the description, we'll just add a load of links, or you can find some links in that PDF that we've talked about. So that's our final two things. Hope. What are you doing to find hope? How are you being intentional about that, both in terms of listing the things you really care about and maybe reading and learning and consuming stories of hope? That's going to help you start to focus on the bigger thing, but also immersing yourself in knowledge. So make sure you go to some of those places that we've linked and just get your head back in the game. Sometimes that's all it takes, reminding yourself. C.S. Lewis, who you may have heard of, the author, he talked about this, that so often we don't need to learn something new, we just need to remind ourselves of what we've learned before. And so maybe that's what you're going to be doing over these next few weeks. It's just remind yourself, refresh that knowledge. And so immerse yourself in knowledge. That's going to be really, really important. So that's the end of our series, really. We will also, of course, be linking in this video some of the programs that we offer at Naked Truth. Naked Truth aims to open eyes and also free lives. So we have recovery programs, support programs that are accessible, they are affordable, and so check those out as well. Go to nakedtruthrecovery.com if you want to find out what we offer, because they could be the thing that are a game changer for you in this time as well. So thanks for getting involved. Maybe just check out parts 1 and 2 if you haven't done already.